Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So we're here at our off-grid property. When we were here with the federal agents, we noticed that the old markings for the boundary were pretty hard to find. So we had a surveyor come in yesterday and refresh all of these markings. So he's got this ribbon and these flags. Each one of these flags has a steel pin driven in, and we're gonna come through and mark it with our purple spray paint and also with our T-posts. So in our state, along with a lot of others, now purple spray paint also works the same as a no trespassing sign. So we're gonna just mark some of these trees through here. This was marked every 100 feet. And like I said, we're gonna come back and drive our T-posts in. You make it up the hill.
It's the hardest part of the whole thing, getting up the hill.
All right, well, I'll meet you at the cave.
Yep.
Okay, and here's why you need to hire a surveyor if your lines aren't well marked. The cave is back that way, several yards, and I thought about where this tree had fallen the other day when we were here was about the property line. But actually, you probably can't even see it, but probably a good 80 yards that way is the survey marks. So I kind of thought what I'm standing on now might be the boundary, but it's quite a bit that way. So the survey is definitely worth its weight in gold. Okay, and so there are some of the survey ribbons, and Maggie's been across here with her purple spray paint, and she's all the way up there, and I just went and parked the truck, so she's quick. Okay, so here we are, and I did think that this was where the boundary was, because there's a feed lot right over there that's pretty close to the boundary. But we're marking the trees. Maggie's using spray paint, and so as we're walking up that hill, we're smelling spray paint. Have you been sniffing your spray paint?
Yeah, I'm getting kind of high over here.
It's a little bit of an optical illusion when you're walking through the woods looking for these markings. We were at those two up there. We painted this little tree, and then we were both looking more along that ridge for the next ones, when really it's quite a bit farther down this way. So like I said, and just walking along there, you swore that made a curve, but it didn't. It's arrow straight. It's just that when the ground moving so much, it can definitely throw you off. Okay, and the surveyor told me that he just tied these ribbons wherever it was convenient, close to the pin or close to the mark, but he put these little flags right at the mark. So then what he suggested is for us to come through with the purple paint, mark the line so it doesn't disappear, and then get field T-posts and put them in right where every one of these flags is. So we've got the T-posts, and that will be the next step. Okay, I think I can see with my eye 3 sets of these flags from here. So that's definitely, like I said, it's an arrow straight line. But walking through, like I said, you might be surprised at how easily it is to get off what is a straight line. Okay, and one of the reasons we're just quickly spray painting these trees along this line is it's supposed to start raining any minute. And once it does, it's supposed to have 4 inches of rain before it quits. So we want to get some spray paint on this line, and if time allows, we'll put T-posts up today. If not, we'll be back as soon as it is not a monsoon and put T-posts at each one of these marks. Okay, and so this is another reason we went ahead and paid to have a survey done, remarking the pins and marks that were already there. Is, I don't know if you can see over there, but there's some white posts that are kind of along the line, but they're a good, looks like to me about a good 15-20 feet off. And then there's the actual line, and then like here's this post here. And I'm not saying anybody did anything malicious or anything, of course, like I said, but somebody put some markings up where they thought they were without consulting a surveyor. And there's the actual lines back there. And then this post, I didn't even notice so much, but there's a post over there. And I'm not sure what that post is supposed to be, but it's obviously not any kind of line. That's about, I wouldn't say dead center of my property, but it's getting there. Of course, there's the pond. Okay, and here's a survey mark behind the pond. And when the farmer that we bought this off of built this pond, he set the overflow so that the water's edge all along here would be completely on this property. And it looks like I said, with all the rain and everything we've had before, this little infill creek is definitely not completely contained on the property, but the edge of the water is. So this back here is not my property, but from that tree to these trees pretty much is. So I don't see the mark on that side yet, but we'll find it. Okay, and I can see some ribbon on that side, and I'm standing right on the line behind it. So it looks like this pond is migrated a little bit off the property at this point. Of course, it's probably as high as this thing ever gets. The water's coming out the overflow right now. And it's summer, probably that clump right there is not in the lake. I want to reiterate, we don't have an issue with our neighbor, but you can see the line that they put up just kind of going off their best guess of where it was, and probably what the people that sold them this ground told them. But you can see where the mark is, and then also what's been marked. And you know, it's very easy that they just put those in because they didn't want to get in those briars, but we're going to take care of that. We're going to mow some of that back. And then the big thing is, you see that white pin over there, that's quite a bit off from where the line actually is. We're marking our boundaries, and before we did any of that, we went ahead and consulted a surveyor, and he was out yesterday, marked all this. So we have the survey with us, and we're putting permanent markings up where he marked out. Okay, and here is the official marked corner, and you can see the survey peg and then the little wooden stake with the ribbons. And you probably can't see it because it's a good 10 feet into the woods, but about 10 foot behind that white post is the surveyor line. Then, because this is a corner, basically it runs down that tree line to the other corner, which is also marked. Hey everybody, so I'm back over here at the off-grid property, and we've got the survey sticks are still up. And what our surveyor told us to do is take these T-posts, fence line posts, and drive them in. Every place he's got a marker at. So I've got my post driver, and I've got 30 of these line posts, and I'm gonna go start putting them in. Okay, so this is our first corner stake, and you can see the other stake there at the bottom of the dam. There's our boathouse, and then straight down this line is the next corner. And of course that east line is the one that I'm most concerned about. This is how our surveyor said to do this. Okay, that ought to do it. I did move it over about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches from that post, but what I moved it was onto our property instead of off of it. And I only did that because if this post ever got snagged by a tractor or something and pulled out, I don't want it to pull out that post, which is the official survey mark. All right, and what we will do when I get all these put in is come back with a piece of 1 foot PVC pipe. It'll go over that with a cap on it, and we'll paint like the bottom 8 inches of that 1 foot piece purple, which in this state is no trespassing sign, same as. So, all right, there we go. This is the southeastmost point on the property. We just came from the southwestmost point, and now we're going to do this east line. The north line is pretty much the road out there. The west line is along that drive. So basically the west drive is around the bottom of the dam and half that road out there, even though the road's not where it was when it was originally surveyed. And now we're going to do this east line. So here's another line boundary, put exactly where the surveyor put the mark. The interesting thing about, he's told us he would tie ribbon to whatever was convenient close, but there would be a flag directly on the line. Alrighty, I've got 15 posts in. I've got another 10 lined up here, and then I still have 5 in the truck. So I think 30 posts is going to do it. I am to the top of the hill back there on the east line. So let's continue. One thing that's making it a little more difficult is out here in the field, you can just drive to where these posts go. Up in the woods, I've got to drive as close as I can and then carry the posts over to wherever the stakes are actually at. And it's working up to a nice workout. So it's like 35 degrees out here, and out in the woods you start sweating, and then down here in the field, like I said, with the wind blowing, it gets pretty cold. So but I'll tell you what, spring is almost here. It is absolutely beautiful. There's some dogwood starting to bloom, it looks like, and it's just absolutely fabulous. And that's not my field, but still a good view. Oh, here I am kind of parked on the line, and I've already marked about halfway up that hill. I think I've got 3 more posts that I've got to put in down to where I can meet up with where I left off. And then there's another little trail that I can get to about halfway down that hill. So I think I'll take 3 posts and go that way as well, and then come back to the ATV and hopefully be able to finish this up from the ATV. So, all right, let's do it. I just got back and, walking out here in these hills. So I found that as I went down, I just dropped a post at each flag. By the time I got to my 3rd flag and I dropped that post, which I had to drive in because I didn't have any more, I could look 100 yards down or 100 feet down and see the next post, which was the last one that I had already done coming up the hill. So then I just drove them in as I came back up, but you still got to bring this pounder back up, and it's pretty heavy. It's definitely a workout, but I'd much rather spend my time out here in the woods than in a gym. So on to the next one. All right, well, I'm at the cave and I'm not going to be able to get the ATV across that ditch. And maybe I could, but I definitely don't want to tear any ground up here. This is just absolutely beautiful ground, and I'd sure hate to see it torn up by any kind of vehicles crossing where they don't really need to be. So there's the cave, and I got some nice video of some raccoons and a possum going in there building a nest. And I had no idea that possums use their tail to carry the leaf bedding and stuff like that they make their nests out of, but that's pretty cool. So our boundary that we're going to is about probably 150 feet, 200 feet that way. So I'll carry the 3 more posts and the driver over there and do those, and then the road is just down there a ways. And so I'll go down and park on the road and come up and do the rest of them. And then that will pretty much get this property marked. We're over here on the west boundary, and the west boundary originally split this gravel road, and you can see, or I don't know, I can see anyway, one of the federal wildlife easement boundary borders straight across the road there, and it's pretty much lined up with the entrance to the road. But then originally when we bought this and it was surveyed and staked, that pin was directly in the middle of this road. Well, you can see over time the road has migrated a little bit to the east. Not a big deal, but I don't want to drive a fence post obviously right here where that tire track was, and if this was the middle of the road, I certainly wouldn't want to put a fence post there. So what the surveyor told us to do was measure due east, and I did that with my phone compass. So I mean, it might not be 100% accurate like the surveyors, but anyway, I measured 12 foot over and then drove a post here, and he said that's I forget now, I think he said a referred line or something, but what I'll do is I'll put just some kind of little tag on here so I know that the actual survey pin is 12 foot due west of where the fence post is at. And then that marker up there where I did put a fence post, that pin also is supposed to be in the middle of the road, but it's actually, now that the road has moved a little bit, it's about 2 foot to the east of that pin. So I went ahead and drove a fence post there, because obviously if this farmer's bringing his tractors and stuff in, he can go around it where the road's actually at and never hit that. Or the other day he had a semi in here, and he doesn't even use this little lane anymore. He just basically, at the end of the road where he's got some gravel piled up, he goes into his field straight that way. So this isn't really anything that I would consider any kind of questionable or contested boundary. I was a little more concerned with the boundaries on the east side that are in the woods with another neighbor. So, and like I said, I definitely don't want to portray that we're having a boundary dispute or trouble with our neighbors or anything. Everybody down here has been fantastic, good neighbors and stuff. They've asked before, like if they shoot a deer or something during season, if they can come on the property and get it, and I let them do that. And then, because I don't want any hunting real close around my house, when people ask about hunting, like I said, if they're neighbors or whatever, somebody does something for us, like I said, this is a good property to allow people to come hunt. So we just need to make sure it's marked. The gentleman that we bought this property off of has always kind of acted as a caretaker, and he was the farmer that farmed that. He's since selling his property on contract and no longer farms. Since he's no longer down here almost every day being kind of the caretaker and watching what's going on here and stuff, we assumed that we better get our boundaries marked well, and like I said, that way we just know exactly where they're at in case anything ever did come up, now that Jim's not down here to kind of watch it for us. So all right, there we go. Got a couple more to mark and we'll get out of here. Okay, and here's another issue we've got with this property, is every time it has a flooding rain, that creek sometimes takes over the road, and I need to mark that last boundary down there, so we're gonna come through this. Did that, never even got my feet wet, so let's go get this last corner and we'll be done. So everything on that side of this post we can cut, log, whatever we want to do. Everything that way and on that side of the post we have to just sit and let it rot, which isn't a big deal, in the overall scheme of things. Like I said, it's kind of nice those farmers back in the day were able to sell those rights to the federal government, so made them some money on some property they couldn't really use. And it's not a hardship for me because I've got to drive across it already, which is approved, and I wasn't going to do anything down here anyway. We did find out why those federal agents came and visited us. So this easement, when it was sold back in the day, was large and it was all one landowner. Now I think the agents told us it was now 19 landowners, and one of those landowners did some logging on their property, and they just went ahead and I guess logged that easement as well. So anyway, that's a rumor I heard. I don't know if it's true, but anyway, that's why those federal agents came to look at our property, was after they found that landowner logging, they wanted to go ahead and make sure nobody else was doing it. Okay, the whole time I've been working, this river's been rising. I keep getting flood alerts for the area. The problem is this creek floods two ways. It floods when we get a lot of rain, and we had 4 inches of rain the other day. The other way it floods is that when the river comes up, the river actually backs up into this creek, and that's what we've got going on now. Most of the flash flooding water has already run down into the hills and creeks and then flowed away with the river, but now the river is rising from storms they had upstream, which is causing this to back up. So when I came in here, I had to drive through about 8 inches of water. Been here about 4 hours. We'll see what it looks like on the way out. And don't ever drive through flooded roads or anything if you have any choice at all. this is a dead-end road, and the only way I can get home is to go through this water. So we're gonna try it. The other thing is, like I said, I'm real aware where this road goes and where it's at, the depth that it should be based on, you know, the elevation that we're at. And then also, you know, you have to watch for logs or any kind of brush that flows into the thing. Right now, this water's not really flowing. It's just backing up. I mean, it is flowing, but it's not rapids or anything that's going to wash you off the road or wash the road out. And the road was fine when I came in here. We're going to go slow and see if it's still fine.
Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to cut the 10-foot pieces of this 1.5-inch pipe and glue caps on them, paint the bottom 8 inches of each piece purple for the no trespassing, and these will go on top of all the posts. All right, now that I have them all put together, I'm going to paint them. I'm painting them in the grass so that overspray, as the grass grows, it'll just get mowed off and you'll never see it. Anyway, I'm going to spray the bottom 8 inches of those with this purple Rust-Oleum no hunting paint. And should only take a few minutes and those will be ready to go. And there we have it. We have 27 posts we have to put in, and I have made 27 purple post markers with white caps so you can see them better in the forest. And that should do it.
Okay, we're here the next day. Maggie made our post toppers, and so the white PVC should show up good in the woods. And then of course the purple is what's universally accepted as no trespassing. So these posts, we'll just sit down on it, and we've got 30 posts starting that way and make the circle. So here we go.
Starting now. Hello, people.
Okay, and this is the last cap. So now all the posts are marked, and they're marked with no trespassing. And with the white cap, they should be able to be seen. Maggie's painting on this little shelter house over there and stuff, same thing. We're going to go through here and put some spray marks along the edge of that also, and then make sure everything along the road is marked good. So other than that, we're gonna get the drone out, fly around so you can see what we've got over here, and we'll get out of here.